Hi, in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at ViolentMonkey, which is an open source alternative to TamperMonkey that I featured in a previous video. Basically what this will allow you to do is inject JavaScript into the web page so that you can do things like bypass cookies and pop-ups. So what I'm going to do is show you ViolentMonkey and bypassing the Google and YouTube pop-ups that you get in the EU, and also bypassing the tinyurl redirect shorteners that you get on some sites, that you click a link and it says tinyurl and it says wait 3 seconds and then you can click a button to go onto the next page. So first of all, what we're going to do is come across to this site, which is ViolentMonkey, and this will tell you about it, and it's available for all these browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Opera, etc. And it's basically an alternative to GreaseMonkey, which was the original version of this, but hasn't been updated in a couple of years, I think, and TamperMonkey that I covered in a previous video, but that's actually closed source. It also has Google Analytics built in, which aren't actually enabled by default. So ViolentMonkey is an open source alternative to TamperMonkey, and it does the same thing. So if I come across here, this is the Firefox add-on page. You basically come across here and click add to install it. So what I'm going to do is actually come across to the extensions dashboard here, because what I found is I tried using the scripts I was using in TamperMonkey and they weren't working. And what I found is I actually had to enable something to get them to work. And there were two things that I enabled that weren't enabled by default, and that was reload the current tab after switching on and off a script from the menu. I think that might just be turning on and off there, but I enabled that. But the main one I enabled here was synchronous page mode. And basically this is enable only if you have a script that needs to run before the page starts loading and it's currently loading too late. So what I found was trying to bypass the YouTube and Google pop-ups for cookies wasn't working, but after enabling this, it did actually work. So what we need to do is actually install the scripts. So this is the settings, and this is where you install scripts. And what you can do is just click this little plus button and it will give you a couple of options. New, that will open a little text area where you can add in some code. You can install from OpenJS, OpenUser.js, from Greasy Fork, or from a URL. So you could use install from URL to install a script from GitHub, for example. So these are the 3 scripts that I've got enabled, and if I just come back here, and these are my notes, and these are the actual scripts. So what I have here is a folder with these scripts, and I just made a few changes to the TamperMonkey scripts to get them working. So all you need to do is come across, click raw on each one of these, and you might be able to install these via the actual URL. You can just copy these, and you come across and click new. You could try install from URL. I've already got these set up, but basically what you do is you click new and you just paste it in there and click save once you've made the changes, and that will come up listed here. So what I'm going to do is actually demo this bypassing the pop-up you get for YouTube, for Google, and also for tinyurl shorteners that make you wait a couple of seconds before you can go onto the next page. So I'll just close these for the moment and come across to YouTube and just give it a second. And it does a theme refresh, and as you'll see, there's no do you want to allow pop-ups, allow cookies. What it does is I think what it does is it just actually bypasses the pop-up. It sort of auto accepts the cookies basically, so you don't have to click the button. So it's not blocking the cookies, so you can still actually sign in. It's just dismissing that message. Now if I come across to Google, one thing I did notice was, as you can see here, there's no pop-up. I don't know if it's, as you can see here, I can't actually scroll in the page. So what seems to happen with this particular script for Google that bypasses the accept cookies pop-up is it accepts the cookies, and even though you've got auto reload the page enabled, what you have to do is come up here and just refresh the page once. Once you've done that, you can see you can now scroll. So there seems to be a little glitch with the Google one, but as you can see, it did actually work. And the next thing to notice is it hasn't automatically picked up the page, the dark mode. I've got dark mode enabled by default, and you can see it was auto detected by YouTube, but not by Google. But if you just refresh the page once, the dark mode will kick in, and you'll be able to scroll. But as I said, I do think this does accept the cookies, so it doesn't block the cookies. It just sort of bypasses the pop-up. Now the next thing that I wanted to show you was tiny URL shorteners. So what I'm going to do is, if I just come across and grab a URL. So this is basically an example of a site that uses URL shorteners. So this is purely just to show URL shorteners and how you can actually sort of bypass them. So if I come across to say something that's just playing, what it does is it gives you a load of links. So if I just click on one of these links, I'm not going to play anything. I'm just purely showing you this, how it automatically redirects. See, your link is loading in 3 seconds, and boom, it's automatically loaded the page. So that's basically what that script does, is instead of making you wait 3 seconds every time you click one of those tiny URLs, so if I do it again, oops, please wait 3 seconds, bang, it's automatically loaded. Okay, this one's did actually take a couple of seconds. Should. Okay, it's not kicking in as quickly as it was first time, funny enough. As you can see, it's actually seems to be failing there. So this was a script that I found. Okay, now it's working there. Yeah, it's a script I found actually on GitHub. So if I come across and come to my notes, okay, yeah, tiny URL. So this was the original script by Luke. I'm not going to mispronounce your surname. And this was done for TamperMonkey about 2 years ago. And what it basically does is it sort of gets this element by class name, so it automatically selects an element on the web page and sort of clicks it, and selects and sort of sets the document state to complete or something, and sort of you can set the timeout here, so it's kind of resets the timer or something. Well, basically what it does is it just means you don't have to wait 3 seconds every time you click one of those links. So if you've got a page with a load of those tiny URLs, it's really annoying every time you want to switch to another link to have to wait 3 seconds, because they all add up. So 10 links, you've got to wait 30 seconds, while they load. So this basically skips this annoying redirect. So those were the couple of things I wanted to show you with ViolentMonkey. And again, the one thing I did find was you click the little icon up here. This enables and disables it. And you can actually find scripts for this particular site either on Greasy Fork or OpenUser.js, I think it is. I'm not sure what this plus button does. This opens the settings and your script page. So this is the installed script, and again this is the settings, and enable that. And I think that's just if you're switching from the menu. But I enabled the synchronous page mode, which seemed to fix an issue on Firefox. It might not be needed on Chromium-based browsers, but I think there's a difference between how the browsers handle stuff. So there's a section here, learn more about injection modes and injecting into different contexts. They got page, context, content, and auto. So you can read about that, and you've got a UI theme here. Exposed install versions on userscript catalog sites. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Probably explained there. You can stuff where I think you can change how the editor is the actual script template here. So every time you come into the install scripts and create a new script, which I'll just remind you of, this is the default that's going to come up. Got a blacklist here and custom CSS. So when you come to install scripts and you click the new button, say you can install from OpenUser.js, GreaseFork, a URL, or just click new. This is the default code that's the boilerplate code for every time you click the new script option. And you can change that in the settings down here. So that's what that little section is. So this is a good alternative to TamperMonkey, but as I said, the only thing I found was I needed to enable this to actually get it to run those TamperMonkey scripts. And I think the other thing, if I come into here, what you have is a section here is like namespace, and on TamperMonkey scripts, I think it's actually like a URL to something like tampermonkey.net or something. But on ViolentMonkey scripts, you need to have ViolentMonkey scripts in that section here. And basically the way it works is you have like a name, a namespace match, and that's the domain that the script is actually going to run on. You have like a version, a user, an author rather, a description. You also have this thing like run at start, which was included in the TamperMonkey scripts. And one thing I noticed is what you've got here is this is the code section here where you can actually see the code. There's also a settings section here, which I actually missed first of all. And you've actually got some settings here. So you can actually set some of these settings in here as well as in the code. So it's a bit confusing that. But I've got this set to run at document start. I haven't changed anything else here, but that's just another tab you should be aware of. And here's the values, which I haven't really looked into. But that's where you add your code. Use another editor. There may be a section here so that it will actually launch the script in your favorite editor. So you might want to have a look at that. So there may be a way to actually pop up your favorite editor instead of actually editing the code in this sort of web browser UI here. But once you've made your changes, click save, save and close, or close, and you'll see all your blocks of code here, and you can edit them, you can enable them. I think this is like refresh and see if there's any updates. So if you installed other people's scripts, you can actually sort of run update. You can check all these for updates basically. So what I think the other thing that you may need to do is actually, I think there's a section you could probably put in the URL from where, if you've got this on GitHub or something, if you have your own scripts, there may be a way you can put in the actual URL, and when you do that, you should be able to, do a refresh here and it'll pull down the latest changes. So that might be useful. For example, if you've got two machines and you want a way to sync the scripts, you could keep the scripts on GitHub and then just do a refresh in Firefox on the second machine. It will just pull the changes down from GitHub. So that's another thing to look into. But this is where you can sort of disable them, enable them, and I think these are sort of like probably links to the actual file or something. So I think, I'm not sure what these do. I think maybe if you've got something actually in the script that shows the, a description or gives a URL, it will probably jump to that URL. And here's where you can actually remove the script from. So that's ViolentMonkey. It's an open source user script manager. Basically, it's like GreaseMonkey and TamperMonkey. And the main difference is, I think GreaseMonkey hasn't been updated for a couple of years actually. If I come across to add-ons and themes and search for monkey, GreaseMonkey, I'm sure it said it last updated 2 years ago. It says, even though it says January 28th, 2021, that 2 years. So that's the three main ones that we listed here. And there's TamperMonkey, which is sort of newer. Then there's ViolentMonkey. I think there's one down here as well, FireMonkey, that some people mention on Reddit. But there's not that many. There isn't a big user base for that. So ViolentMonkey seems to be the main alternative to GreaseMonkey and TamperMonkey, which is actually closed source. It's not an open source app. And I've got TamperMonkey installed here. So if I just enable this for a second and come across to the preferences. So this is TamperMonkey I showed you in a previous video. And if I come across to the settings here, you'll see there's a section anonymous statistics. And this is allowing TamperMonkey to collect anonymous statistics via Google Analytics. And I think this was enabled by default originally, but it's now been changed to an optional requirement. And the thing about TamperMonkey is, I think that originally it was open source and now it's closed source, according to sort of people on some Reddit threads that I read. So that's TamperMonkey. So what I'll be doing is uninstalling TamperMonkey. So where's TamperMonkey? So remove. So I've moved TamperMonkey, and let me just open Firefox fresh just to show you bypassing YouTube and Google and the redirects again. So YouTube. Kicks in and the theme's refreshed to dark mode. Okay, everything's loaded up. See, I can scroll. But as I said, with Google, you seem to get, see, it's not, it gets stuck for some reason. Just do a refresh. And then you can see the buttons come up and I can scroll around. And finally, again, this is just demoing something with tiny URLs. Oops, hang on. You can see it's saying wait 3 seconds, and that's basically sort of reset the timer and bypass that redirect. So that's ViolentMonkey. You can see that's up. That's a little icon up there, and what you can do is you can come down here and click Customize Toolbar, and then you can drag these icons around. So you need to click Customize Toolbar, then you can drag those icons around and click Done, and you'll see it'll give you a little notification when there's a script running on this domain, basically, and you'll see here the match scripts, and it'll give you a little toggle you can toggle on and off, and also a little code block icon here that you can click to actually edit the script. Whatever you got, exclude and remove. So it will actually show you the scripts being matched, and you can also change the badge colors here. So as you can see, you were getting a little purple badge coming up over the icon. So that's one option you can change. Open pop editor from pop-up menu, and you've got sort of options for the execution of the scripts and the pop-up menu and stuff like that. And anything else? Yep, you can also import and export the ViolentMonkey settings, so you can also export script data settings, and yeah, basically it will export everything to a zip. So if I just do that, you should see it will have exported something to here, ViolentMonkey. So the ViolentMonkey desktop. Let's have a look at that. Oop. Okay, I'll switch to. Okay, so what you'll see is I've extracted the zip there. So this is obviously all the data. So these are the actual scripts. So what it's done is actually exported all the scripts as JS files, which is really nice. And it's also giving you, here's the original zip, and then what you have here is like a configuration file for ViolentMonkey. It seems to be JSON or something. So I guess you can just import this into another ViolentMonkey setup to the same setup as the original machine. But it's really nice that it actually exports all your scripts. So that's a really useful way to actually export your scripts, rather than, because what I was doing before to actually I was testing stuff, and what I was doing was to back stuff up. I was just coming in here, clicking edit, and then copying and pasting. But obviously, just coming across to the settings here and going export to zip, that will export everything, including all your scripts. So rather than going through and manually copying and pasting the scripts out, just export them, unzip the backup, and you'll have all your scripts listed there to put on GitHub or anything like that. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and hope that helps sort of bypass the pop-ups for YouTube and Google in the EU for cookies, and also for sites that use tinyurl redirect shorteners that make you wait several seconds for each link. And as I said, if you've got a page with a load of links and they all go to tinyurl shorteners, you're going to get really annoyed really quickly if you have to wait 3 seconds before every page will actually load onto the site you want to go to. So ViolentMonkey is an alternative to TamperMonkey, which, as I said, although it's nice, is actually closed source apparently. If I come across to TamperMonkey Reddit, it'll give you, like, is it a safe browser extension? Let's do open source. Yeah, I think that was it. It's been closed source for 10 years apparently. I wasn't even aware of it. So that's why people generally recommend ViolentMonkey out of all the alternatives. GreaseMonkey hasn't been updated for about 2 years, according to the Firefox add-on site. TamperMonkey's closed source, and I think the other one, FireMonkey, only has about 863 users, so might not be as well developed as ViolentMonkey. So ViolentMonkey seems to do a job, but as I said, on Firefox, the one thing I did seem to need to change was enable synchronous page mode. And you can read more about the page modes here and the differences between Firefox and Chromium-based browsers. The other thing was reload, and of course back up to zip, which will back up everything, all your data and all your scripts. So that's a really nice feature. Also, the other thing you can do here is it's got a sync option, so you can sync to Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, WebDAV. So if you don't use GitHub, that sort of thing, but you use, Dropbox, Google Drive, that sort of thing, you can sync all your settings up via that to another machine. So that's another option that you could use. And again, this was the custom script template that appears every time you add a new script. So again, you have the option here to go new, and that will actually create the boilerplate for a new script using that default. And again, the other options you got is install from OpenUser.js, GreaseFork, or install from a URL. And I think you could probably be able to use that with a URL from GitHub. And of course, it would have to be the raw URL. You have to click on the raw button in GitHub, so you get the page without any formatting to use the URL. And you should then just be able to do a check for all updates. So that's something I'll look into, is how you add in the URL of where the JS file is stored on GitHub, so that you can just do a refresh on your second machine to pull down the changes. Because obviously you can't, I don't think you can easily integrate this with your doc file. So you can't have your doc file, these JavaScript files and your doc files and sort of add them into ViolentMonkey. You actually have to import them from the interface. So if you made changes to the script you stored on GitHub, it'd be really helpful to have them auto update. And I think you probably you can probably set this to automatically update. I think there was something here where you could set it to check for script updates every day, so you can actually set this to automatically check for script updates, or you can disable script updates completely. So hopefully that's everything in the user interface. And again, the one thing I did miss at first was when you're in the code settings here, the code block, is you've got this settings block here. And these are the seem to be the sort of settings for that particular script. And you can set some options here. You can see it pulling in the name. Okay, so this is the homepage URL. So, and the download URL and the update URL. So that was what I was talking about. This is where you need to put in the URLs for the actual update. So putting in the GitHub links should actually get that to update, I guess. So let's give that a go. So if I come across to so what I want to try and do is put in the URLs. Okay, so what I've got is the scripts that I've got set up in ViolentMonkey. I've got set up in here. ViolentMonkey, there we go. Okay. Right, so which one should we try it with? Let's try it with this one. So what we want is the actual raw URL. So this is the actual URL to the JS file, and not the web page the JS file was being displayed in. So if I take that, let's just close some of these tabs. Okay. So homepage URL, update URL, download URL, use download URL. Okay. So we only need to fill this one in here. So this is the download URL. And let's put the homepage URL as the same one. So what I'm going to do is make a change to this file just by adding like a comment or something, pushing the changes up to GitHub, and then tried running the update. So, okay, save. I did a save and close there. So let's close that again. So I've made a change to this script here. So what I'm going to do is come across and edit that file and see if we can actually get it to sync. So what I'm going to do is actually I'll put a comment just up here. So okay. Right. Right, so I made a change to this one, so where can I do the updates? Update found. No. I'm sure I set the, or did I put it in the I put the thing in the wrong thing, I think. I think yeah. Sod's law. Right. So that's why it wasn't working. Yeah, so what I did was I actually didn't put the link in the wrong thing. So now, no update found. Did I push the right one? Let me just, yeah, this is the skip URL. That should be the right, that's the right link. Allow updates, use global settings. Okay, let's try changing it to on rather than global settings. And now we're getting an update button, check for updates. No updates found. There should be a way to get it to work, but I just thought I'd have a look while I had it open. So let's try reopening Firefox and seeing if maybe just be something I'm missing, but I added in a comment above this function and pushed to the GitHub. So maybe you actually need to have this section in the code. So what happens if I try moving this section to the code down here? I'm just wondering if it was not working because it wasn't in the code block or something. No, still not working. Well, I'll keep having a look at that, but there should be a way to actually put in an update URL in the code block or in the settings for the code block so that you can run this sort of check for all updates and then have it pull in the latest bit of code from here. It doesn't seem to be working, so let's check I've got that correct. Yep, comments. We've got the settings there, allow update, then notify off, use global settings. Let's have a look at the global settings. Notify script updates. Just to see if that does anything. I was just wondering if there's a combination of settings you need to toggle on and off. No updates, no updates. Put the download URL in there. Function. Maybe need to put in the update URL. Let's go back to the thing. Try with the update URL. No. Try adding in the update URL to the code block. I'm just going through all the different permutations of what it might be. Reopen Firefox one last time, see if it works. And I may just be missing something completely obvious. No. Do you know what it might be? That's what it is. The version number. Okay, that's what it is. So what I think the reason why it's not been updating is because I haven't changed the version number. So what I'm guessing is it's using, when it checks for an update, it's checking for the version number. So if you make a change into the script, you actually need to change the version number as well. So let's see if that works. Okay. Let's try version 1.1. Hang on. I know what it is. Got to do git add. My bad. But that's what it is. Sometimes you've got to go through things and find out what doesn't work, and then it hits you. So, okay, let's try it now. Script updated. There we go. And now if we edit it, yeah, comments. Okay. So what I did was I came across to the settings, and I put in, probably wasn't needed. I think you can just put in the download URL. But as you can see, what I did was put in the complete link to the JS file on GitHub. So what I mean by that is, instead of the web page displaying the script, when you're on that page, so if I come across to, let me just come across so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, ViolentMonkey. Okay, so when you go to a script or bit of code on GitHub, this is not the URL you want here. And you can see, even though it ends with .js, what you need to click is the raw button here. And that gives you the actual bit of code. So if you view the source here, you can see the source is the same as the code. Whereas if you view the source on this page, you can see it's a load of HTML, which you don't obviously want to stick in the add-on. So that's how it works. What you need to do, I guess I could put it in the actual code here. You can actually put in the URL. So the thing is, what you've got is you've got the code here, and you've got the settings, and some of these you can see at run at these things here. It'd be more convenient to have those actually set in the script, because otherwise what you've got to do is actually come across into the settings. So what I want to do is actually put these into the actual script and remove them, and I'll do another update and see if we can get it to auto update without having to put in the settings here. So what I'll do is, right. I want homepage URL, I want download URL. Download URL, where's that? What I'm going to do is I'll put all three in just for should we just try it with one? Let's just try it with one first of all, so that we don't have to have them out. So, right, what I'm going to do is delete these and then upgrade the version number. So I'm going to call this version 1.2. 1.2. Download URL. And what you could do is actually put in this page as well. So let's put in this page as the home page URL. So the options we've got is update URL and download URL. So let's put in the update URL and the homepage URL and set that to this, if you see what I mean. So I don't want to have to put the same bit of code in twice actually if it's going to use it, but I want to put in the homepage URL because you might want to put something in there that's got some sort of information, about the script. Okay. All right. And make the changes. Okay, so what I want to try and do is actually do an update. If I run the update, it should bring in the changes and bring in those options in the code. So script updated. Okay, so you can now see those bits of code are in there. So what I want to do now is by removing. Can I remove all this? I tell you what, let's try adding this script by the URL now. So what we've got here is the actual script. So what I'm going to do is actually come across. Let me just save that, close that. What I'll do is I'll remove that. What I'll do is try adding this via the URL. So what I'm going to do is come across to raw, which is this link here. So to add a custom URL, we're going to install from URL. Okay, confirm the installation, control enter. Close off installation, yeah. Okay, so that's now, you can see version 1.2. So, okay, you can see that's, when I came into the settings now for that, you can see it's automatically filled in those settings in this section here. So by adding in these two links, the download URL and homepage URL, what it's done is it's automatically added those to, for the homepage URL, which will give you all the documentation, and then the download URL, you see the update URL is the same as the download URL. And what that means is you can now just run a check for updates. So what we did was we hosted a JavaScript file on GitHub. We come across here, we added it from the URL. And with those code blocks, it's now able to be you can now update it. So what this means is on a second machine, you can come through and you can go, okay, put in the URLs for your scripts on GitHub. And when you make a change and push them to them, it will actually automatically check every day for updates and just update it automatically. Or you can just come across here and do check for all updates. So sorry, it took me a while to figure out what the issue was, but two things really. Having the download URL and the homepage URL, but the most important thing is when you actually make a change, you need to increment the version number. So if you edit the script and push it to GitHub, if you don't edit the version number and increment it to like version 1.3, ViolentMonkey isn't going to, if you're running version 1.2 and you haven't changed the version number, it's still 1.2, you're not going to get an update. So that's why you need to update the script. So again, let me come across to here. Let's remove this comments line and call this version 1.3 and come across. Okay, there we go. Now if I come across here, did I forget to 1.3? Okay, did I not? I thought I had it on. Yeah, this should be all right. So, don't want to do that. What would I just do? I just delete everything. Fuck's sake. Okay, hang on. Do I just delete everything? Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course I did. Did I? Does it now come back? Mad. What did I do there? Right. Okay. Let me try incrementing this to 1.5 and pushing that to GitHub. Okay. Okay. So on 1.2. Okay, refresh. Now it's on 1.5. If I edit the code, you'll see it's removed that code block. So if I refresh this page here, you see the code block's gone, and you'll also see that it's gone in ViolentMonkey. So that's what I was talking about, is you need to basically increment the version number here. And the thing that we've got set here, we've got the name, the namespace, which has got to be ViolentMonkey scripts, the version, the description, the author, the match. This is important. This is the match for the domain the script is going to run on. You can see here tinyurl.is, wildcard, grant, none. For this example, we've got run at document start. Then we have the download URL, which again is the full link. Okay, that's the full link to the raw version of the page, and the raw version of the page is when you click that button, and this is going to be the home page. So you can add in some sort of notes or something here, you know, read me, what have you, and you can put in the link to the home page there, rather than just having a link to the code. And then we've got the code block, and if we come across to the settings here, you'll see those things should be actually set in here. So we've got the name, the homepage URL, download URL, and you have to come across and close. and again, that will allow you to do an update. You edit the code there, you enable it, disable it there. Homepage, okay, so this should now, will this now link to that page? Yeah, great, okay. So adding in the homepage link then gives this the link down here. Then we've got skip tinyurl redirects. Does that, hang on, does that, okay, that still doesn't do anything. We've got info, no, it doesn't do anything, and it will tell us here the script's been updated, and we can delete it. But that's probably the best way to actually add your scripts in, rather than coming across here and going new, sort of adding your script in like that. The problem is when you want to go to a second machine, typically then you end up like, you know, kind of manually copying stuff out. Again, what you can do is, instead of copying the stuff out into JS files, remember you can come to the settings, go export to zip, and it exports the zip of all the settings and all the scripts. So you can do that, but what I'm getting at is what you want to have is a, you know, it's easier to add in the actual URL from GitHub. So rather than copying and, you know, coming here and copying and pasting the code in, problem with that is sometimes you can easily mess up the formatting. You can easily, you know, delete something or indent something, you know, that kind of thing. Just using install from URL and then adding in the URL like this will make sure it's all properly formatted, and you don't have to mess about copying stuff and pasting it in. It will just do it for you. And as you can see, you'll have the script in there. So let's do the, I could do the same thing for these ones. It's just what I'll do is I'll come through and update those so that they actually point to the scripts I've put on GitHub, and it's just going to make it easier to update the scripts on another machine. I can just, you know, come across, add in the URLs, and it will automatically update it again. Updates will automatically update your scripts every day, where you can change it, you know, change it. You can be notified of script updates. That you can ignore the per script notifications. And again, you can sync your settings with Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, WebDAV. And that was the custom script editor. So I think that's pretty much everything. But again, it just took me a while to figure out how to actually add a script in that you've got on GitHub so that you can automatically update it. So, you know, rather than, the problem is sometimes if you just put a script in using a new thing, it's very easy just to accidentally delete something and then you've lost all your work. So it's a good idea to keep stuff on GitHub. And again, it just makes it easy to add in the URL, have that added in, or add on, you know, the code block. And again, the other thing was that I missed was the settings here. And rather than, as I said, rather than, you know, having to come into your settings and add them in manually, it's better to actually put them in the code block here. Once you do that, and you increment the version number, you'll actually be able to update scripts from within ViolentMonkey that you've pushed to GitHub. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and that's all for now.